Okay, this is the Game is On 100 here with a video, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Chicago Cubs winning the World Series. Let's get started. The Cubs won the 2016 World Series. I am very happy that the Cubs finally, after all these years, finally winning the World Series. Like myself, I am a major Cubs fan. And I am so ecstatic right now that the Cubs won the World Series. This season, I knew the Cubs had a good shot of getting to the World Series by all the acquisitions, what the Tom Ricketts wanted to do, Theo Epstein, Jed Hoyer. They did an outstanding job in acquiring the right pieces and acquiring the talent that they needed to win the World Series. This all started back in 2011 in 2009 when Tom Ricketts purchased the Chicago Cubs from the Tribune Company, and he told them that their goal is to win the World Series. And Tom Ricketts said that he wasn't going to be spending the money until when the Cubs are competitive. See, at the time when the Ricketts took ownership, the Cubs had bad contracts they had to get rid of. The last bad contract that the Cubs had was Alfonso Soriano's contract. That was a bad contract that Tom Ricketts wanted to get out. He did that. The Cubs did that. They traded him to the Yankees. Even though they had to give the Yankees some money, but they got out of that contract. And I knew from right then, I knew Ricketts had a plan. Ricketts got Theo Epstein from the Boston Red Sox. Theo Epstein built the Boston Red Sox for 2 World Series in 2004 and 2007. Then when they won the World Series, he built within the Boston Red Sox to make them be competitive over the years. And that's what he has done with the Cubs. And the opening part of his press conference, he even said it. The goal is to win a World Series. And what he did, the smart thing, he told the fans, be patient. Just be patient. In a few years, we will get there. And his saying came true. Theo Epstein said, we're going to suck for a few years. If we're going to suck for a few years, then that's how it's going to be. We're going to rebuild the farm system. Step 1, they rebuild the farm system. Doing unbelievable trades who they acquired to build this team. And after all that, the Cubs from 2011 went from a 101 lost team. And in a few years, in 2016, they went to a 103 win team. That is a major improvement. See, the Cubs were lacking over the few years. They were hitting on their draft picks. They hit on Javi Baez. They hit on Bryant, Schwarber. They acquired Addison Russell. That was a good deal to get Addison Russell. They acquired Anthony Rizzo. They had a piece that they traded in Starlin Castro. That was all right what they did when they traded him to the Yankees. That was all right because the Cubs had the depth in the infield that they had to get it done. So, with that all being said, Tom Ricketts said, I'm not going to spend any money until we are competitive. That's when I'm going to spend the money. And what did the Cubs do? In 2015, that's when the Cubs decided to bring up all the young players up to the roster. and it just magic happened. The Cubs ended up with 97 wins last year, and there was the three team in the NL Central. The Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Cubs had the three best records in baseball in one division. Last year, the Cubs got to the wild card. They beat the Pittsburgh Pirates. They went to the division series and beat the Cardinals. And then when it came to the Mets, the Cubs hit a brick wall against the Mets against their pitching. But that didn't stop there. And with a little bit of the extra money that the Cubs generated in the playoffs, that no one didn't think the Cubs was going to contend in 2015, that's when Tom Ricketts had said, I'm going to spend the money. And that's what he did. Before that, in 2015, he signed John Lester to a 6-year, $155 million contract. Then within a few days later, he signed his catcher, Grandpa Ross, David Ross, to a 2-year contract. And then, when the offseason came, on the same day, the Cubs signed John Lackey from the St. Louis Cardinals, and they signed Ben Zobrist, who just won the World Series with the Kansas City Royals, signed with the Cubs. And the last piece of the puzzle was Jason Hayward signing for an 8-year, $180 something million deal to bring him in. And I thought as soon as the Cubs acquired Hayward, the Cubs were the team to beat this year. And the Cubs ended up being the team to beat this year. The Cubs had suffered some injury to Kyle Schwarber. He was injured in the third game of the season. And they didn't think he was going to be coming back in the World Series. They didn't think he was going to be coming back to play in the game, but there was the saying that he was cleared to run and hit, and the Cubs used him as a DH pretty much, and he did a fantastic job. What Kyle Schwarber did in the World Series, he did a good job. And when John Madden moved them up to the number 2 spots in Game 6 and 7, that opened up the Cubs' bats just enough for the Cubs to win the World Series. So, with that being said, everything that what Theo Epstein said in his opening press conference came true. He said we're going to be sucking for a few years. We're going to build this thing. He said, give us a 4-year or 5-year window. They said we will be competitive. And the Cubs did it in 4 years when they became competitive. And that's when I thought in the back of my mind, because I remember Tom Ricketts said that we're not going to spend any money until we are competitive. Once we're competitive, then we're going to be spending the money on the free agents. And that's what his plan was, and the plan came to fruition. And I gotta say, for the Cleveland Indians, you guys had a good season. I didn't think you guys was going to do any damage in NL Central. I thought that the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers was going to be the top 2 teams in that division. But you guys came out and you guys had a pretty good season. Then you guys came into the playoffs swinging. You swept the Boston Red Sox. Then you, in 5 games, you took out the Toronto Blue Jays. And then when it came to the World Series, you had a 3-1 series lead, and you guys just lost it right there. So I give it to you guys. You guys had a good season. It just wasn't meant to be this year. I know you guys got your championship with LeBron James. You guys finally got a world championship after your guys' year-long drought. After the last time you guys won a world championship was with the Cleveland Browns back in the 60s. I don't know what year it was when they won the NFL championship. So It wasn't the year for you guys. It was the year for the Cubs. The drought has ended. The Cubs curse is now done. It's over. They don't have to worry about the Billy Goat anymore. They don't have to worry about any curses whatsoever. This was a good World Series. It was a damn good game. For Game 7, I was in my seat watching the entire game, and I knew as soon as I thought the Cubs, when they had a lead going in, when it was 6-3, and then they came back, the Cleveland Indians tied it up 6-6 in the 8th. I was just hoping, please, hopefully they could get Chapman if he can muster out one more inning. And that what basically happened. He got in one more inning in, and he got the job done. Then it came into the 10th, and that's when the Cubs came to in the 10th inning to get the lead and managed to win the game. Mike Montgomery came in for the save. I was thinking it would have been all right for Les. Lester did a good job. Kyle Hendricks on the night was outstanding for what he did in the game. It was sort of testy why Joe Manning took him out, but I can understand why he wanted to take him out because he had Lester. They wanted to go with Lester than with Chapman, but Chapman, they were all saying it in the broadcast tonight about how Chapman was exposed because he threw all them pitches in games 5, 6, and 7, and unfortunately, it didn't come to bite the Cubs in the end. Can't say that because of YouTube, but it didn't come in to bite them in the rear end. And basically, the Cubs managed to get out of there. They got a couple more runs in the 10th, and that ended it right there. All I gotta say is this was a great season for the Cubs. 103 wins and plus win the World Series. It's outstanding. Ben Zobrist was the World Series MVP. Thrilled that he got it. And the only bad thing about this though is the Cubs are built for the next several years to contend every year. They got the pieces in place to contend. I can't wait what's going to happen in the free agency, who's out there. I don't know about what the Cubs is going to do. Is Dexter Fowler's going to come back? Is he going to go to get a big money deal with another team? Aroldis Chapman, is he going to be? He's going to probably be wanting a hefty price tag to try to keep him. Do they acquire more pitching? Maybe get a few top free agent pitchers. I don't know. Since the Cubs got all this extra money by getting into the World Series and winning it, that they could probably have the extra money they can spend into the resources and get in a little bit more free agents so the Cubs can have a long run. See, the Cubs are set for the future. For the next several years, they're going to be contending. The Cubs has all the pieces, what they need to get the job done. And the Cubs are going to be favorites again next year in 2017. So all I gotta say is great season for the Cubs. I am happy that they finally won after all these years of heartbreak, tragedy. This is going way back, especially 2003 with the Bartman incident. Now hopefully us Cubs fans can get rid of the Bartman thing that happened in 2003. Everything is wiped clean. The drought is over. And hopefully this will continue for the next several years for the Cubs. And all you Cubs fans, all I got to say in the words of Chris Jericho, Drink it in, man. Anyways, this is the Gaming Side 100. I am out. Later.